Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's of this. Will she continue to do that when she is now one of them? Dana. And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity and she had no...
Sunny Hostin was created a national celebrity by Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld, who both poked fun of her. Sunny never expected it to be more than light-hearted taunting, but a tag team takedown. The time? Fantastic. Speaking from different locations, they both ripped into Sunny's most recent mistake as if the universe had planned a reality check. In what was more than just a media altercation, Sunny was beaten methodically and caught on camera like a comic character entering a revolving door.
She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker...
These people are not wallflowers. Gutfeld, known for his fierce sarcasm, and Kelly, who brutally analyzed Hostin's claims. It was like watching two magicians, one with flair and the other with facts, both exposing the hollowness of the same illusion.
Small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss this.
No one is calling this the Mensa Club, but when Sunny gets involved, the bar falls down. She doesn't strengthen the case, but she gives the impression that everyone else is smarter. If it had a magic mirror to measure self-awareness, perspective may collapse under the strain. At her recent panel discussion on the solar eclipse, Sunny, who aimed for brightness but ended up somewhere around odd, made this clear.
Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
Look, this is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying factual. She hates Trump. She doesn't want to be near him. She doesn't want to be president again. She destroyed the Rose Garden, and she hates Christmas. That is what passes for news on a network they did.
The situation is familiar if you've watched The View. It's chaotic, intense, and full of chatter. This time, Sunny tried to steer the discussion with what she thought was intellectual depth, but it came off more as an actress channeling Shakespeare and reading from a fifth-grade science book. Gutfeld and Megyn didn't even need to be in the same room. After witnessing the film, they eagerly analyzed her comments, much like critics watching a blooper reel.
The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a...
There was an implosion. Instead of disintegrating gradually, her argument collapsed because of its own peculiar logic. Gutfeld enjoyed the feeling as he cut through paper like needles. In the meanwhile, Megyn Kelly's response was so precise that Sunny's comments seemed to be performance art. The contrast was sharp. As Kelly clarified, Gutfeld jeered, and Sunny faltered. He became the subject of a public discussion on conflict avoidance.
On The View, accusing Israel of war crimes.
There is an international human rights body of law, and when you look at that law, part of it is retaliation against innocent civilians collectively.
They're not committing war crimes. The ones committing war crimes are Hamas. The use of human shields is a war crime. They don't want Israel to bomb them, and therefore they've surrounded themselves with Israel's citizens, some 199 of them, and some untold.
This was a faceplant, not a mistake. Let's be honest. Sunny came brash and conceited, thinking that rage could replace logic. Gutfeld quickly dismantled her arguments, as if she had brought a water cannon to a combat with a flamethrower.
To wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color.
The ladies of The View. Speaking of Sunny Hostin, take a look at SOT 15.
I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter.
Then, like a prosecutor, Megyn Kelly swung forward and sliced right through Sunny's defenses. I see. Biting remarks made it clear that this was a takedown, not a discussion. The fact that Sunny wasn't even there to defend herself made their objective much easier.
Angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Yeah.
And he was, whether he was asked or not. This
So he
is a
was
man who
invited?
didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Sunny's attempts to alter his behavior only made the situation worse. She gave more odd replies as Gutfeld analyzed her. With every attempt to keep your face intact, the slow-motion train disaster became worse, and you couldn't stop watching it.
True sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
By the end, Sunny's performance was more of a cautionary tale than an argument. Kelly and Gutfeld watched from a distance as she thrashed. In addition to losing, she became a cautionary story.
Asking about the differences between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and my prediction is this is going to be made into a campaign ad for Trump within the next hour.
What do you think would be the biggest specific difference between your presidency and a Biden presidency?
Well, we're obviously two different have had impact.
Literally, I guarantee you that's being made into an ad right now. It might hit.
Megyn Kelly did not raise her voice. She executed a calm, precise, and spot-on takedown. As Sunny flailed, Kelly cut through the commotion. Gutfeld, as the provocateur, interjected humor and insults. One caustic, one keen, both relentless, they put on a single front. Sunny had a weak case and was having trouble. Megyn's confidence was rightly and thoroughly damaged by her takedown. Sunny became angrier and continued to argue about the same things. As she fumbled through, Megyn pointed out all the errors. Towards the end, Sunny's confidence gave way to skepticism. It was more than just criticism, since this exposed a pattern of faulty logic and declining credibility. It was not a mistake. They made the art in public.